Hello and welcome, guys. My name is KP Singh, and I welcome one and all to today's episode of Fortnightly Law School. Welcome, Kanishka. Welcome, Pooja. We'll wait for others to join, and let's start with today's discussion. Well, guys, in this session, if you're attending for the very first time, we cover latest legal updates from last few weeks. This is episode 34. My name is KP Singh, and let's start. In order to select the best quality, click on Settings tab and pick the best option available. If you haven't started preparing for law entrance exam, you can check out our zero free programs by login by going to imsindia.com and creating your free account. You can also contact your nearest IMS center if you want to book one-to-one counseling session with our mentors. Well, guys, in the previous episode, we were discussing Nupur Sharma controversy. The title of the case was Nupur Sharma versus Union of India. Nupur Sharma, while she was debating on the Gyanvapi Masjid issue on Times Now on May 27th, she made an allegedly derogatory remark against Prophet Muhammad. And many FIRs were lodged against her. बहुत सारे शहरों में cases filed हुए, including Hyderabad, Srinagar, and Mumbai. So she wanted a bit of convenience. She approached the Supreme Court of India, asking Supreme Court to club all these FIRs together and to make Delhi as the place of litigation. This application was rejected by the Supreme Court, and not just that, Supreme Court also reprimanded her very severely. तो बहुत ज़्यादा डांट पड़ा है नुपुर के लॉयर को, that means indirectly नुपुर को. और जस्टिस सूर्यकांत and जस्टिस पर्दीवाला ने कुछ ऐसे कमेंट्स भी पास किए which created another uproar in our country. So one such statement was that Nupur Sharma is single-handedly responsible for what is happening in the country. So if you are frequent observer of political news in a country, you would know that our prime time TV news debates were going gaga about Nupur Sharma and the statement of Justice Pardiwala. So was she single-handedly responsible for what was happening in our country? Well, I think that the answer should be a big no. So there are many people who contributed, including her, and she cannot be held responsible for the ghastly killings which took place at different places in our country. Well, but did the court actually pass such an order? Answer is no. So in any judgment, there are two major portions. The binding portion of a judgment is called ratio decidendi, that means decision of the court, and the ratio, that means principles of law applied by the court to reach that conclusion. So जो principle apply किए गए और जो फैसला हुआ है, that is the ratio. Whereas many times judges say things in a passing by manner, and any such statement or remark will be called obiter dictum. Obiter dictum is not binding. That is not something which will be executed. So obiter dictum को लेकर इतना controversy या fuss create करना is not a mature thing to do. But this is what our TV channels usually do. So ऐसा ही controversy होता है. Justice Pardiwala का statement that Nupur Sharma was single-handedly responsible for what all was happening in our country. This was just an obiter dictum. It wasn't part of the judgment. It was a remark passed by the judge or an observation made by the judge. That's a personal remark. So people got angry, and 150 plus scholars and some retired judges, some lawyers started writing an application to the Supreme Court. Many people criticized this statement of the judge. Okay. Why class? Chirag, I think you have joined late. Welcome Chirag, welcome Amandeep, welcome Real Lethal, welcome Pooja, welcome Kanishka, hello Vidhi, hello Tanmay, hello Brahme. Yes, Sanika, we did Nupur Sharma controversy, and now we have a new update on this thing. So what happened is that once this judgment was passed, when this thing became another controversy. So पहले कंट्रोवर्सी था नुपुर शर्मा ने क्या कहा, और अब कंट्रोवर्सी है जस्टिस पर्दीवाला ने क्या कहा. तो जस्टिस पर्दीवाला और जस्टिस सूर्यकांत के स्टेटमेंट्स को टीवी न्यूज डिबेट में यूज किया जा रहा है, और वहीं पे 150 प्लस स्कॉलर्स ने, पीपल फ्रॉम डिफरेंट वॉक्स ऑफ लाइफ, दे क्रिटिसाइज्ड व्हाट जस्टिस पर्दीवाला हैड सेड. और इतना ही काफी नहीं था. इसके बाद बहुत से लोगों ने लेटर लिखने शुरू किए, पब्लिक फोरम पे ट्वीट किए जा रहे हैं, पोस्ट किए जा रहे हैं. देन समथिंग एल्स हैपेंड. So there is a lawyer called C.R. Jayaskin. So C.R. Jayaskin wanted to file contempt petition against a retired justice of High Court. His name is Justice S.N. Dhingra, and also against senior advocates like Aman Lekhi and R. Ramakumar. So Aman Lekhi or के रामा कुमार के अगेंस्ट कंटेम्प्ट पिटीशन फाइल करना चाहते थे एडवोकेट जया स्किन. And if you want to file contempt petition, you will require assent or you can say consent of Attorney General of India. और इंडिया के अभी अटॉर्नी जनरल हैं मिस्टर के वेणुगोपाल, a very senior lawyer and I think is about to retire in a few months now. So Justice ढींगरा के अगेंस्ट कंटेम्प्ट पिटीशन के लिए एप्लीकेशन गया था which got rejected. So के वेणुगोपाल का स्टेटमेंट यहाँ पे आपके लिए काम का है. He said that the statements made by Aman Lekhi, K. Ramakumar and Justice S.N. Dhingra do not fall in the domain of contempt. Why? Because even the Supreme Court time and again has stated that any fair and reasonable criticism of a judicial proceeding will not constitute contempt. So what is contempt? This is the question, guys. You can answer in the comment box. Contempt क्या होता है and what is contempt of court? So contempt, let's say Pooja is this. Okay, some people are writing, is the class going to start? Why is that? Can't you guys see the stream? Can somebody please confirm in the comment section if the class is live and all of you can see the screen? Am I audible, guys, and can all of you see the screen? Welcome Himanshu, very good evening to you. Thank you Sanika. I hope Pooja and Chirag, welcome Lavanya, welcome Astha. Chali guys, let's start. So we started off with a recap of previous episode. We discussed Nupur Sharma controversy. Nupur ने एक application file किया था कि उनके against होने वाले सभी FIRs को club करके Delhi shift कर दिया जाए, which was rejected by the Supreme Court and court told her to go to the High Court. Along with that, court also scolded Nupur Sharma's lawyer and passed a few statements. अब वो statements को लेके controversy बढ़ गया. That was Nupur Sharma single-handedly responsible for all the riots and protests that were taking place in our country. Well, that statement was not part of the judgment. So if you go through the entire judgment, you will not find that statement. That statement was just an observation made by justice, by the bench. Well, so Advocate C.R. Jaya Skin wanted to prosecute Aman Lekhi, Ramakumar and Justice S.N. Dhingra for contempt of court. Contempt means disobedience. Contempt means insult. So disobedience या अवमानना. जब आप कोर्ट को इंसल्ट करते हैं या कोर्ट की बात नहीं मानते हैं, इसके लिए कंटेम्प्ट की पिटीशन फाइल की जा सकती है. तो कंटेम्प्ट ऑफ कोर्ट बेसिकली इज एन ऑफेंस. कोर्ट्स कैन गिव यू अ पनिशमेंट ऑफ अप टू 6 months जस्ट फॉर कंटेम्प्ट. ऐसे मान लीजिए कोर्ट ने आपसे कहा है दैट यू हैव टू पे सर्टेन सम ऑफ मनी टू द अदर पार्टी एंड इफ यू रिफ्यूज टू पे दैट इज ऑल्सो अ टाइप ऑफ कंटेम्प्ट. इफ द जज हैज रिक्वेस्टेड यू टू डू समथिंग एंड यू डोंट डू इट, इफ द जज हैज restrained you from doing something and you still do it, that is also contempt. Let's say judge आपको judgment deliver कर रहा है और आप चप्पल फेंक के मारते हैं, even that is contempt, right? So insulting or downgrading judiciary and its reputation will also fall under contempt. Many times judges have taken a very liberal approach on contempt. Even when Senior Advocate Prashant Bhushan made a statement against sitting Supreme Court Chief Justice and senior judges of the Supreme Court, he was let off by paying a fine of ₹1. So 1 rupee fine से प्रशांत भूषण बच चुके हैं कंटेम्प्ट से, लेकिन बहुत सारे लोग नहीं बचते हैं. So जब भी आपके अगेंस्ट कंटेम्प्ट प्रोसीडिंग चलती हैं, most of the time you will see people apologizing before the bench. ठीक है, चलिए let's move on. So just note down that contempt petition was not allowed. Justice ढींगरा के खिलाफ के वेणुगोपाल was an obstruction. So he was of the opinion that all these statements were fair comment and therefore will not fall under the domain of contempt of court. Okay, another news which we covered in previous episode was Alt News co-founder Mohammed Zubair approaching the Delhi High Court. Alt News के co-founder fact checker Mohammed Zubair के ऊपर allegation थे that he had hurt religious sentiments of people and he was promoting enmity between different groups. अभी एलिगेशन है उनके 2018 के कुछ ट्वीट्स को लेकर, जो आप अपनी स्क्रीन पे देख सकते हैं. उसी में से कुछ स्क्रीन पे आपके नजर आ रहे हैं. अच्छा, अब जाके क्यों फाइल किए जा रहे हैं कंप्लेंट 2018 के ट्वीट्स को लेकर? बिकॉज दिस गाय डिड फैक्ट चेक ऑफ Nupur Sharma, and because of which Nupur Sharma got into trouble, and many countries in the Middle East also objected to what was happening in a country. Indian government was in a very tricky situation. Well, so in the previous episode, I told you that police had sought custody of Mr. Zubair, and Mr. Zubair approached Delhi High Court challenging the police custody granted by trial court. Here's an update on that. Mr. Zubair approached the Delhi High Court challenging his police custody, and he has been granted bail. Though he has been granted conditional bail, that means he will have to furnish a bond of 50,000 rupees, and he will also have to produce one surety, one guarantor, and he cannot leave India without the permission of the court. But will he be released? Again, answer is no, he won't be released. Why won't he be released? Because there are multiple FIRs against this guy. Just like Nupur Sharma, even Mr. Zubair is facing multiple FIRs. There are 6 FIRs in Uttar Pradesh. There are a couple of FIRs in Madhya Pradesh. There is one in Delhi. So there are so many different FIRs that this guy is facing. So he has been granted bail in the Delhi matter. Earlier he was granted bail by the Supreme Court in Sitapur Police FIR, but still he will be staying behind the bars. Why? Because now he will be facing remand of UP Police. So again, he will be approaching the Apex Court of India to secure his freedom. Okay, chali. Moving on. The next one is very important. Unmarried women pregnant out of consensual relationship cannot seek termination of pregnancy after 20 weeks. This judgment was recently delivered by the Delhi High Court. Delhi High Court Division Bench. Division Bench का क्या मतलब होता है guys? Division Bench में कितने judges होंगे? How many judges will you find in a division bench? Bonus question. Welcome Parul Vaishnav. Welcome Tishu. Amazing names guys. Chale, so recently a very landmark judgment of American Supreme Court was overruled. Can you name the judgment I'm referring to? The judgment which is considered to be a pillar of right to abortion or right to choice. Welcome Sachin. So which landmark judgment was abolished or overruled by the American Federal Court or Supreme Court? Yash Mundana gave the correct answer. Lavanya, that's right. Asa, that's correct. That case law was Roe versus Wade. So, and what is the title of the new judgment or the case law in which Roe versus Wade was overruled? We had covered Roe versus Wade in detail in episode 3. If somebody is interested, you can check out episode 3 of Weekly Law School. Kanishka said 3 judges, that's incorrect. So 2 question pending है. So name the judgment जिसमें Roe versus Wade को overrule किया गया है. Secondly, what is a division bench? How many judges will you find in a division bench? Yash gave the correct answer even for that one. So if you read single bench anywhere, that means that there will be a single judge or one judge in the courtroom. If there's a division bench, that means 2 judges or double bench. So division bench is also called double bench. You will always find 2 judges. So even the previous case law that we were discussing, Nupur Sharma wala, it was a division bench judgment. Justice Kant and Justice Pardiwala. Well, if you read full bench में कितने judges होंगे? So single bench, division bench, single bench, division bench, and full bench. So if there's a full bench, there will be 3 judges. So full bench comprises of 3 judges. What about constitutional bench? So if you see a constitutional bench, you will find 5 judges. So 5 or more in odd numbers whenever you read constitutional bench. Okay. Yes, so in a constitutional bench, you will always find Chief Justice of India as part of that bench. चलिए आगे बढ़ते हैं. So unmarried women pregnant out of consensual relationship cannot seek termination of pregnancy after 20 weeks. So in this particular case law, a lady has approached the High Court seeking termination of her pregnancy, stating that this pregnancy though arose out of consensual relationship, but now the guy has refused to marry her. So because they are not going to get married, if she carries on with this pregnancy, it will have serious societal consequences for her. So she might be ostracized, she might be facing a lot of difficult situation, for example, mental agony, for example, trauma. Why? Because people in our society will not take single mother in a positive manner. So, using this as a ground, she has requested the court to allow her to terminate her pregnancy. So, abortion. Is abortion legal in India? क्या abortion India में allowed है? Yes or no? Yes, it is. No, it is not. Well, guys, the answer is both yes and no. It is allowed under certain circumstances and it is not allowed under certain circumstances. The law which governs termination of pregnancy in our country is called Medical Termination of Pregnancy Rules 2003. So, एक्ट है बहुत ही पुराना 70s का और रूल्स हैं 2003 के जो कि 2021 में अमेंड भी हुए. Partly yes, yeah, partially yes, Akash, that's correct. Well, so Delhi High Court में this unmarried girl has approached and she is pregnant with 23 weeks and 5 days. So 23 weeks of pregnancy क्या इंडिया में allowed है terminate करना? Up to 20 weeks everybody would say yes. But India is a progressive country, so we have also changed our laws and now we allow up to 24 weeks. So even up to 24 weeks you can abort the fetus, but this extension or this extended limit is only for certain categories of women. So, for example, women including rape survivors, victims of incest, differently abled and minors. And also if there was failure of contraception. So, अगर इनमें से कोई ground है तो आप 24 weeks तक भी pregnancy terminate करवा सकते हैं, right? So, 1971 का Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act was amended in 2020 का amendment है and because of that these new rules came into action. Now this lady is saying that rule 3B which granted abortion rights to rape survivors, which granted abortion rights to other categories of women, has excluded unmarried women from that list, and therefore Rule 3B of Medical Termination of Pregnancy Rules is violative of Article 14 of the Constitution of India. So Article 14 क्या है हमारे Constitution का? Article 14 of the Constitution of India को violate करता है. So what is Article 14 of Indian Constitution? इतना ही difficult question? I don't think it is. Okay, Rajveer, what's your response? Tanmay, Sanika, right to equality. So in India, Article 14 talks about right to equality and equality before law. So equal protection of law and equality before law. Article 14 में लिखा है. Is it violative of Article 14? क्या लगता है आपको? क्या unmarried women को भी same rights होने चाहिए जितने married women को होते हैं? Obviously yes, why not? But Delhi High Court has refused to answer that question. So very conveniently in this case, Delhi High Court says that no, we will not get into that question whether Rule 3B is violative of Article 14 or not. All that we can do is we can grant you relief as per the statute. And as per the statute right now, based on the current interpretation, unmarried women are not entitled to same rights as married women, and therefore Delhi High Court rejected her application and she is not allowed to terminate her pregnancy. So will this lead to additional troubles for this petitioner? Obviously yes. So yes, Indian laws needs to grow a bit. We need to change it a bit, and things like these should not happen. Okay, so medical termination of pregnancy rules के बारे में हमने बात किया, रूल 3B के बारे में हमने बात किया. अपर लिमिट भी है जो बढ़ा दिया गया है, 20 वीक्स के बजाय 24 वीक्स होता है. एंड आई ऑल्सो टॉक्ड अबाउट रो वर्सेस वेड एंड प्लान्ड पेरेंटहुड वर्सेस केसी. अच्छा, इसके अलावा कपल ऑफ टॉपिक्स व्हिच आई वांट टू टॉक टुडे इज रिलेटेड टू presidential election, which all of you should read about. Presidential and vice presidential election will take place in the coming weeks, and in the next episode we are going to cover that in detail. But before we do that, quick questions. ये बताइए, who was India's first president? How much do you guys know about president and vice president? Let's have a quick Q&A regarding that. Who was India's first president? ओके, एंड हु इज इंडियाज करंट प्रेसिडेंट? इंडिया के फर्स्ट प्रेसिडेंट का नाम बताइए. डॉक्टर राजेंद्र प्रसाद. विधि, दैट्स राइट. देवांगी, दैट्स राइट. लवन्या, दैट्स राइट. यश, दैट्स राइट. ओके, करंट प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ इंडिया इज मिस्टर रामनाथ कोविंद. चलिए, अच्छा, इन इंडिया एडवोकेट्स डे इज सेलिब्रेटेड ऑन द बर्थ एनिवर्सरी ऑफ वन ऑफ आवर प्रेसिडेंट. सो किस प्रेसिडेंट की याद में हम मनाते हैं एडवोकेट्स डे इन आवर कंट्री? नेम द गाय. ऑल ऑफ यू आर बडिंग लॉयर्स, फ्यूचर लॉयर्स. इतना तो पता होना चाहिए कि इंडिया में एडवोकेट्स डे किसकी याद में मनाया जाता है. एंड ऑब्वियस फॉलो अप क्वेश्चन इज ऑन विच डेट डू वी सेलिब्रेट एडवोकेट्स डे इन आवर कंट्री? Tanmay says B.R. Ambedkar, that's incorrect. Vidhi says 12th November is also incorrect. Hetvi, if you put up a question mark, that's not a response. Dr. Rajendra Prasad is correct answer and Lavanya gave the right response. We celebrate it in the memory of Mr. Rajendra Prasad. Dr. Rajendra Prasad की याद में हम मनाते हैं Advocates Day on 3rd December. 3rd December को क्यों मनाया जाता है? Because he was born on 3rd December and Rajendra Prasad was an advocate. अच्छा, who was India's first vice president? इंडिया के फर्स्ट वाइस प्रेसिडेंट कौन थे और उनकी याद में हम कौन सा दिन मनाते हैं? Yes, Sachin, that's right. Amandeep, that's right. Arunima, that's correct. Akshita, that's right. Prajakta, that's right. Okay, so 3rd December is celebrated as Advocates Day, that's correct. Who was India's first vice president? और उनकी याद में हम क्या मनाते हैं? So his birthday is celebrated as Vallabhbhai Patel is incorrect answer. Devangi. अच्छा, let me drop a hint here. 5th September को क्या मनाया जाता है और किसकी याद में? 5th September is celebrated as okay, Lavanya gave the correct answer. Right answer, Khushi, that's correct. Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan. So Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan was India's first vice president. And his birthday is celebrated as Teachers Day. Yes, Tishu, that's correct. We celebrate it as Teachers Day. Why? Because Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan was a teacher. Okay. ये बताइए, who was the first president from the minority community in our country? Zakir Hussain, Fakhruddin Ali Ahmed, Gyani Jail Singh. Who was the first president from the minority community? Gyani Jail Singh, Fakhruddin Ali Ahmed, Zakir Hussain. Okay, let's see. Yes, Sachin, that's correct answer. Sanika has a question. Who is the current vice president? Who is the current vice president? This guy was also head of BJP earlier. BJP president रह चुके हैं और अभी इंडिया के वाइस प्रेसिडेंट हैं. Hails from south, down south. His name is Venkaiah Naidu. So Sanika, the current vice president is Venkaiah Naidu, but his term is also ending. Shri Venkaiah Naidu. Yes, Devangi. ऐसे ही. So Shri Venkaiah Naidu is the correct answer. Zakir Hussain was the first president from the minority community in our country. Who was the first woman to become president of India? First woman to become president of India. अगले 2 हफ्ते आपको प्रेसिडेंट वाइस प्रेसिडेंट के बारे में बहुत कुछ पढ़ने और सुनने को मिलेगा. Why? Because the election would be going on. थोड़ा सा और डिफिकल्ट बनाते हैं आपके लिए. First woman to become president. Akash says no one. Incorrect answer. Ashmi gave the correct answer. Yash, that's right. Devangi, that's right. Kanishka, अभी पीछे चल रहे हैं. Okay. Astha, that's right. Vidhi, that's right. Arunima, that's right. Pratibha Devi Singh Patil is correct answer. Pratibha Devi Singh Patil was the first woman president of our country. अच्छा, ये बताइए, Who is going to become the next president of India? Sachin, that's incorrect. Who is going to become the next president of India? अब ये थोड़ा एस्ट्रोलॉजी का क्वेश्चन हो गया, पता नहीं, जिसकी किस्मत अच्छी होगी, बट विधि ने प्रेडिक्शन दे दिया है, द्रौपदी मुर्मू. वेल, एनडीए हैज कंफर्टेबल मेजॉरिटी एंड Draupadi Murmu has already received support from many opposition parties. Parties like Shiv Sena of Uddhav Thackeray, Jan Satta Dal of Raghuraj Pratap Singh, and party of O Prakash Rajbhar. Many, even BJD, Biju Janata Dal of Naveen Patnaik. All these parties have declared their support for Draupadi Murmu, and therefore Draupadi Murmu is likely to become our next president. But because vice presidential candidates have not been declared, in a day or two, all parties will come up with their nomination of vice presidents. ठीक है, चलिए. अच्छा ये बताइए, if you want to remove अच्छा, vice president of India is ex officio chairman of dash. Vice president of India is chairman of dash. इंडिया के वाइस प्रेसिडेंट किस हाउस के चेयरमैन माने जाते हैं? Vice President is ex officio chairman of upper house, lower house. Asmi is the first one to respond this time. Viraj, no, not cabinet, that's incorrect. Yash, that's correct. Khushi, that's right. Sanika, that's right. Tishu and Madhav. Yes, correct answer is Rajya Sabha. Vice President of India is ex officio chairman of the Rajya Sabha. अच्छा, ये बताइए, if you want to remove the president, process is called impeachment. Who all will participate in the impeachment proceeding? इंडियन प्रेसिडेंट को रिमूव करने के लिए कौन कौन वोट डाल सकता है? इंडियन प्रेसिडेंट को रिमूव करने के लिए, इंपीचमेंट के लिए वोट कौन डालता है? If I want to increase the difficulty level, I will say, who all will participate in the presidential election? Who all can vote in presidential election? Okay. Lavanya, that's incorrect. So when you have to remove the president, both elected as well as nominated members of Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha will participate. For removing a president, both elected as well as nominated members participate. So you must be aware that there are 12 nominated members in the Rajya Sabha. They are nominated by the president himself. So even they get to vote. But when you are electing the president, only elected members of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, as well as all the members of legislative assemblies, that means your MLAs and of the states, and MLAs from यूनियन टेरिटरी ऑफ दिल्ली एंड पौंडीचेरी विल आल्सो पार्टिसिपेट. सो जब पिक करना होता है प्रेसिडेंट, तो हमारे सारे इलेक्टेड एमएलएज, इलेक्टेड एमपीज, even MLAs from union territories of Delhi and Pondicherry, they get to participate. But when you have to remove the president, elected as well as nominated members of the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, that means the parliament. So state assemblies removal में participate नहीं करती, state assemblies election में participate करती है. अच्छा, what about the vice president? Vice president की election में participate कौन करेगा? Answer is वाइस प्रेसिडेंट को अगर आपको इलेक्ट करना होता है, सो यू नीड लोकसभा, राज्यसभा. जब आपको रिमूव करना होता है, व्हेन यू हैव टू रिमूव द वाइस प्रेसिडेंट, यू ओनली रिक्वायर a resolution in the Rajya Sabha. They have to give 14 days advance notice to the vice president, and he can be removed with absolute majority. So अगर राज्य सभा की मेजॉरिटी डिसाइड करे तो हटा सकती है. Okay, Nikhil came up with update that Jagdeep Dhankar has been named as NDA candidate for vice president's post. चलिए, that's an update. ओके, चलिए गाइस, सो आई थिंक दिस वुड बी इट. इससे ज्यादा परेशान मैं आपको नहीं करूंगा. रीड अप मोर अबाउट प्रेसिडेंशियल इलेक्शन. नेक्स्ट टाइम व्हेन वी मीट आई विल डिस्कस post of president and vice president as well as their election and removal process in detail. So with this note, I KP Singh signing off. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching this episode, and do let me know in the comment section if you want me to cover any particular news item and if you want to change the mode of this session.